Hello, my wonderful, beautiful brothers, other wonderful, beautiful bros, guys, other wonderful, beautiful Maverick Nation. I am the Archer Maverick, and welcome to this new. I've decided since I've been doing some, you know, adding some space, getting rid of some unneeded, unwanted things. I should pop up some 2 new what ifs. See what I can do with those. I see some serious new good potential in these 2 new what ifs that I'm wanting to do. Especially since the character that this one is, based off of basically announced December 20. I don't know if it was December 2020 or December 2021, but it was some December announced Sephiroth. Yes, I was as hype as you guys. First time I saw that ship, like literally cut Gleam in half with one sword strike. Oh, one good slash. That's all he needed to do. It didn't even need to be an Omni slash. Learn some lessons, Cloud. Learn some lessons on how to be a true badass. From the OG himself. Oh, you don't think he's the OG? Sephiroth is the OG of Final Fantasy badassery. Yeah, hell yeah. Screw your Buster Sword, Cloud. Cloud Strife. Like crap, more like crap Strife. Sephiroth is true badassery incarnate whenever it comes to Final Fantasy, characters in general. Just true badassery incarnate. And his theme is even badass. One-winged angel. More like one-winged badass. Like we got a one-winged badass over here. Pimp territory. So, yeah. Me talking all about Sephiroth, you're probably wondering, why am I talking about Sephiroth? Well, oh my God, Jesus Christ. Hallelujah, baby. What if Izuku was Sephiroth? Yes, I know other people have done this before, but are they as devoted to doing it as me? I don't think so. So, yeah. Plus, I don't think anyone else has gone the route that I'm gonna go with this. It's gonna be dark. So, anyways, basically, how do we start this baby off? Well, let's just say all for one had his eyes on a particular, type of phenomenon going down. Did not seem to be a quirk, rather some sort of, well, he didn't know what, but it was interesting. At least to him it was. So he wanted to study the phenomenon further. here we would see a timid little 3-year-old Izuku out in the middle of the woods. He had completely forgotten what he actually came out here to do. Though it had something to do with supplies. You know, like for the whole camping trip. They were pretty much camping and, well, you know, it was Izuku's turn to go supplies. He just forgot the supplies that he was supposed to get. Something about firewood? Firewood. Okay. And that's all of a sudden whenever a stream of green light, the phenomenon that All For One had been studying for quite some time, would smack straight into this boy, Izuku Midoriya. Smack straight into him. Almost as if it wasn't really watching where it was going. Whatever this green light was. It seemed to have absorbed itself into him. All For One would keep this in the back of his mind at all times. He would want to know more about this kid, and, well, he would want to know more about whatever the hell that light was that smacked straight into him. However, Dr. Ujiko, the doctor who would see Izuku in canon, whenever All For One would report for Dr. Ujiko, it would seem as if he had met with a terrible fate. It seems that merely moments after Izuku had been hit by the light, blinded by the light, with up like a douche and a roller in the night. Oh yeah. Send to a Slim Jim. Anyways, right after he had been, you know, this kid has been smacked by this light, not too long after that, there had been reports about muffled screams and splashing sounds. Like the splashing of some sort of liquid. And then it almost sounded like a body slowly being dragged from whatever position it was originally in all the way to God knows where. And that's where, basically, whenever they would open up the door to Dr. Ujiko's office, well, you know, Shigaraki and Kirokiri would, it would find a lot of blood. A lot of blood. And a giant ass freaking hole ripped straight through out to the outside. Yes, this would have been one of Dr. Ujiko's secret laboratories. And, well, it would have been not too far off from where Izuku got hit. However, he sensed a very peculiar power, that being Dr. Ujiko. The first thing he thought of was kill. Because the way in which this power was peculiar to him was in that it reminded him of a lot of things, if not everything, that he hates about humanity. At least, I guess you could say these are the last memories of Basically a lot of long-lasting thoughts. Sephiroth finally fading away. As the live stream, whenever Sephiroth told Cloud he would never be a memory, he meant it. We're going event children here. In that scene where he said he would never be a memory, he meant it. He literally jetted off into the live stream as a last-ditch effort to save himself. And away the live stream took him. All the way to straight smacking him into some random mofo's body. And that random mofo just so happened to be Izuku Midoriya. And Izuku Midoriya just so happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time with Sephiroth's powers and Sephiroth's insanity. So much insanity, in fact, that automatic first response was murder. Yeah, murdering Dr. Ujiko on sight. And on even hearing, because, as soon as he even heard the dude, even got a whiff of him, he was like, screw you, you're dead. He didn't even care, it was just the first person, he was going to kill them. Whoever they were, he was still going to kill them, the first person. That would be the last, little bit of Sephiroth that would be fading away, as to where sort of like a new personality just in general would be created. Not Izuku, but not Sephiroth. This would be sort of almost like a second wind for the one-winged angel. But one that he would not be able to, be aware of. Neither would the boy who just become a part of this second wind. It would be his body and Sephiroth's powers, but everything else would be something different. Something almost uncanny and unreal. Basically, where all the bloodshed would lead Shigaraki and Kirigiri to would be, the bloody body of Dr. Ujiko and, the a lot of Dr. Ujiko's blood covering this random-ass kid who looks not a year older than 3. Just now figuring out his name is Izuku Midoriya. After all, there was indeed a picture that looked a lot like this kid, and pretty much suspicions were confirmed whenever they heard voices from behind them saying Izuku. I just keep on repeating the name as if in fear of what could have happened to him. Could it possibly be his parents? And if they are, then they gotta bounce. Shigaraki and Kirigiri are like, we gotta bounce. If that's the case. And so, not even wanting to figure out if it was the case or not, because by then it would be too late. And at least in their minds, by then it would be too late. Shigaraki and Kirigiri already just decide the one thing that they do in this situation, they leave little Izuku with a little gift. Something to remember them by. A message. A message on a little scrap of paper. This message Basically, if you want to know about your you know, differences, we know about as much as you do. However, maybe we can help each other if you come and find us. So instead of seeing Dr. Ujiko, they see a different quirk doctor. One who doesn't steal his quirk, thanks Dr. Ujiko being an asshole and all. Basically, they see a different quirk doctor because Dr. Ujiko is dead now. And Izuku was just like having very fadey, very foggy, shady shit type memories of that day, that night that he did that. He's not remembering it very well. It's kind of hard for him to mentally process everything that happened and how it happened. Just because of how exactly he was, like what exactly he was at the time. However, one thing that he would indeed be surprised by is something that he thinks might actually be his quirk. He can't exactly get it to happen now, but he was very sure that he was able to get it to happen before, whenever he killed that doctor guy. He was able to make a wing sprout from his back. Not two, just one. And there was one simple little thing that was said from within his mind whenever he did this. One winged angel. They would almost sound like a chorus of voices. They would say, Sephiroth. Izuku, having some trouble focusing, but he would indeed make it through the test just fine. Even with all this stuff on his mind, he was still determined as ever to get his quirk and see what it was, and even tell Kacchan. Maybe it would even be a better quirk than his. Yes, Bakugo's still a thing in this story. However, the doctor would say, it's very rare that we see these cases, as for the longest of times, humans have thought that quirks were made as counters to these types of things. An oversaturation of power, known as mana. And Inko would be like, mana? And the doctor would explain the mana system. And everything. And he does indeed believe that Izuku doesn't just have partial access to it, but he may indeed have full, complete access to the mana system through something that long ago was known as the life stream. That it still exists, and it's, if it didn't exist, the Earth wouldn't exist. Basically, it's the only reason why they're still alive today. Because if the freaking life stream wasn't there, the Earth wouldn't be there. It's basically kind of like the equivalent, like the Earth's equivalent of a human heart and brain. So Inko's like, wow, holy shit. And Hisashi's like, yeah, I know. Like, not only this thing called mana, like full, like advanced control over like all of it, but this super high, like special, you know, basically, you know, she's like, not only the whole mana thing, but he's connected to the life stream, the very thing that also keeps the earth alive. So he's like connected to the earth? And the doctor's like, in a way, yes, you could indeed say that. However, his connection with the life stream seems to go a lot farther back than just a simple connection with both entities, both bodies, the earth and the life stream. It seems to hit like an unknown fever pitch, like something beyond most mortal comprehension. What I'm saying is, your boy may as well be a miniature god, considering his power over the life stream and mana itself. Basically, what I'm gonna say in this, Izuku is like, you know, just not only over mana, the mana system, but he's over the life stream. Like, whenever he kind of fused with Sephiroth, their fusion caused a glitch to happen that basically caused the entire mana system and, like, the life stream itself to become subservient to them. So, like, he can pull shit from the life stream, and he can, like, freaking just spam, like, all sorts of different spells all to hell. Like, any kind of spell that he wants to spam, he can spam. And basically, if he wants to pull from the life stream, he can do that no prob. It's not like the damn thing can resist. He's already made it subservient to him. And done the same thing with the mana system. So, I mean, once you have it in clutch, you have it in clutch. I'm saying GG no re. Full, total, like, absolute GG no re. So basically, Izuku's like, well, there may seem to be two sides to this strange happening. I don't want everyone to freak out, so can we still just call it a quirk and just keep everything a secret? And Izuku would be like, you know, he would be doing the smart thing, you know, making sure people don't freak out. And Inko and Hisashi wouldn't have even thought of that. And the doctor would just be like, well, your son is very smart. But then again, what would you call it? What would the quirk's name be? And Izuku would just be like, well, I have been thinking. That first time that I really used anything similar to that kind of power, a wing came from me. And the doctor's thinking, wait, mana system, life stream, like just 2 wings or 1 wing, kid? 2 wings or 1 wing? This is important. And Izuku's like, 1 wing, why? And he would even tell him on which side the wing was. And the doctor would just be like, I think oh dear God, the legends are true. The legends of Cloud Strife and Sephiroth. Oh God, and he's a part of the legend now. He was powerful enough to make both the mana system and the life stream subservient to him. So Sephiroth's power truly recognized him, and now they've become one, a singular entity born from both identities. Oh, good God, what are we to do? He's just thinking this in his head, like kind of having a mini panic attack. Basically, well, Izuku would just be like, Doctor, the doctor would just be like, yes? About the whole wing thing, well, have you, thought of anything concerning your wing? And has it ever come back up again? And Izuku would be like, no, sadly, I can't get it to do that again. I guess I was just in a fit of rage and madness, and that might have been what unlocked the quirk, but not only that, but you know, whenever he has that face whenever he says quirk, because he honestly knows what it actually is, but you know, he has that face, you know? He's gonna keep it a secret until he feels like Japan is ready for this whole shit, like this whole thing. And so basically, Izuku's been thinking of names, and well, something that popped up, like if this wing thing really was indeed his quirk, he would sometimes dream of being able to soar to the sky. Take to the skies like nobody else. Even the number 3 hero, Hawks, would be jealous of just how good he was at doing what he does. I mean, Hawks has 2 wings, Izuku only had 1, so just being able to take to the skies as good as he'd be able to take to the skies with only 1 wing. I mean, damn, son. Damn. And, well, sometimes in his dreams, he would hear the words, one-winged angel. And then the chorus again, saying, Sephiroth! And so Izuku would decide that since it, you know, was kind of revolving around the wing, Izuku would call the quirk one-winged angel. And, well, this would just cement it permanently in the doctor's mind. This kid is a freaking genius. Like, above his entire class. Like, I've seen kids his age that don't have half the smarts that he does. And Malenko would just be like, very interesting how he just came up with that name. However, not long after this little visit, there will be a little something happened. Now you see, Sashi and Inko will be going through a little bit of a breakup. Hisashi not really able to take all of this one-winged angel BS. Besides, Izuku still hasn't been able to recreate the wings, so how can they even really be sure that it was even there to begin with? All they have to go off is, like, Izuku's word Because, unlike Shigaraki and Kurogiri, they didn't get to see the one wing. So, basically, all they really have to go off of is Izuku's word, and, well, to Hasashi, Izuku's word isn't good enough. He wants actual, legit proof. And, well, it's actually kind of driving him a little bit crazy just how much he keeps on all this praise to Izuku, how he's like a genius, how, like, one day he actually will be able to put his quirk to good use, whatever it is. I mean, with the responses, like, that Inko, like, her response to everything, whenever she came out of the office, and Mitsuki was asking her, and, well, like, Inko would try to say something, but she would keep on falling on her own words. Sometimes, whenever she would attempt to say something, she would even bite her own tongue. Just because of how dumbfounded she was, like, about her own son's abilities. And, well, it's just Hisashi isn't seeing any, well, actual proof that all of these things are indeed true. So he's starting to get, like, really freaking nettled. And whenever he gets really freaking nettled, shit starts to go all mixtape. And he just starts burning. And the entire Midoriya household just becomes a fire hazard. Because Hasashi could not take it any longer. He just ended up lashing out at everyone with his quirk. And that's whenever Izuku would just think, I have to do something. I have to stop Dad. This can't go on for any longer. I have to do something. And so Izuku would think, what a better way to fight fire than with other fire? I mean, they don't really have all that much reliable source of, like, putting out quirked fire. They could try, like, using some sort of, like, anything, but it's quirked fire. So, like, it's quirk fire, so what is that really going to accomplish? Like, even if you pull out a friggin' fire extinguisher, or, like, pressure hose, that's not really going to do much against quirk fire. So Izuku's thinking, well, I think the only other good way to fight quirk fire would be with fire of my own. And so Izuku would think he would probably need to use mana in order to conjure up the kind of fire he's thinking about. And all of a sudden, whenever he starts to think about mana and the type of mana he was going to use, the one wing would appear. And Hisashi's eyes would go wide. However, he would still stand firm, as he would just think that if this was some sort of illusion, this won't get to him. That's whenever Izuku would simply say, Father, you've given me no choice. I shall use my mana to go and fight against your quirked fire. Now, fire! And this is whenever badassery would start to kick in, as the two fires would shoot out at each other. However, Izuku's mana, powered up by the life stream like a generator of sorts, would cut straight through the quirked fire of Hisashi Midoriya and actually start to burn him heavily. It would all matter on how much mana and power of the life stream he was putting into it. And at this point, Izuku was mighty ticked off, so he'd be putting a lot of power into it. So by the end of this, Hisashi Midoriya would end up looking like like an overcooked Thanksgiving Day turkey. Been straight through the ringer. And this is whenever Izuku would realize all the firefighting that they were doing in the ensuing firefight. Izuku wasn't really watching what he was doing, and actually Hisashi had reeled back in horror, which is why it was also so easy for the fire to cut through, because he had started using less force halfway through whenever he saw what was happening. Their two fires meeting created such a powerful explosive chemical reaction to all this dangerous power, mana versus quirk, that Inko was caught in the crossfire. And, well, there would be nothing left but ash whenever the winner of the fight would surface. Izuku Midoriya would be the lone Midoriya left. Damn ads. Izuku would then realize he had just burnt his own mother and his own father to literal crisps. Well, more or less his father was burnt to a crisp, and his mother was really burnt to ashes. Then Izuku would say, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. And then he would hear a voice say, you're gonna burn with the rest of us. As he would turn his head to see Shigaraki, Kirogiri. Shigaraki with a hand outstretched. However, Izuku would then learn another new ability of his mana. Well, he would just learn it because by sticking his own hand out, he would have tossed Shigaraki like a rag doll, smacking him straight into the wall without actually meaning to. Shigaraki would have actually understood this, seeing as the kid was just now learning his powers. However, that still hurt like hell, so just for that, he was going to make his training like hell. Like hell on earth. And that's whenever Izuku would respond with anything. Anything but this. I can't look at it anymore. I can't. That's whenever Kirigiri would warp them without Shigaraki even having to say anything, just giving the signal. And whenever the signal was given, warped straight away. And that wouldn't even be the fun part. No, my friends, the fun part would yet to be seen. Yet to be seen? That is until, up on a monitor in the middle of the villain's base, which Izuku would have realized is a bar. Looks pretty shitty from the outside, but from the inside, you can just see it's a random bar. Very, very clever. Izuku would think to himself, very, very clever. Izuku would hear a voice over a very glitchy monitor in the middle of the room stating that they were all for one, and that Shigaraki shall lead them to him. He wants to have a personal talk before his training begins. Also, he wants to know a couple things. And he's sure Izuku does too. Izuku would have ended up going into All For One's little space, and All For One plainly states, your power is not that of a quirk. It is even more than one power. Tell me, child, do you even know what it is? Izuku would tell him, straight up. Seeing as it's not a quirk, you can't steal it, so I guess I will. First power is something called the mana system, and a second power is something known as the life stream. Now I can pull from the life stream to do a multitude of really cool things. However, mana, well, it's more or less self-explanatory. The kind of things I'd be able to do with something like mana. You ever heard anything similar about it? Everyone would say that he has indeed heard about both mana, the mana system, and even the life stream. And, the last person to be in contact with the life stream. Being in said contact, in order to transfer himself, his conscience. And Izuku would be like, so I guess that's how I got here. Me and Sephiroth are one and the same now. I guess that means that I really don't belong anywhere else. I'm seeing all these memories. Now, the name One-Winged Angel makes a lot more sense. And why I would keep on hearing that chorus saying the name Sephiroth, that makes a lot more sense too. His fall from grace. How tragic. And everything to do with that Genova. How double tragic. However, I plan to fix things around here. I plan to create a new age of the One-Winged Angel reborn. And this would actually kind of startle All For One, because All For One, even with all of the quirks that he has, and might potentially get in the future, it doesn't have the power to stop Sephiroth. And if someone has been trusted with his conscience, yeah, he's not going to have the power to stop them. Especially if he already has the ability to, like, summon at will the powers of mana and the power of the life stream. I mean, it's the power of the life stream in general just to get the freaking one wing up. And so that's how you know he's not just using one at a time. He's using both because that's a symbol of Sephiroth, so he's using the life stream, like Sephiroth's life, because the wing is out. It's also a symbolization that he's using any of his powers. So, yeah. The life stream is always coursing through him, so he's technically never not using it. As long as the wing is out, he's pretty much using the life stream, and as long as he's alive, seeing as Sephiroth is a part of the life stream, he's technically always using it. And whenever considering mana, it's not just elemental attacks and like telekinetic throwing shit, like what happened with Shigaraki, that he can do. But he does know now he can never return to his house, even if he wanted to, because it's no longer there. It was burned up in ashes just like everything else. More or less, he just cooked Hisashi, because feelings towards him. However, in the fact that he's actually a part of the reason why his mother is dead is one real good big reason why he would not want to return to his own house. Because, damn, that's gonna hurt you in the feels. So, yeah, constantly being reminded of that anytime someone even mentions, like, that person, or anything to do with them, or, like, even, like, seeing people that you know that person knew in their own life. Like, for example, Mitsuki and Bakugo. Like, anytime he would ever look at them, and even seeing them in IRL, like, real time. Yeah, that's not going to be an easy pill to swallow. And so, Shigaraki would basically be like, and that's why you're going to get training. So that you won't be such a wimp whenever it comes to actually tearing down the hero society. And that's whenever Izuku would say, didn't you hear me? That's not my goal. Tearing down hero society? We'll just have another uprising whenever they get enough power again. And the same thing will go over and over again, on and on, never stopping. That, my friend, is the true definition of insanity. You know, like I said, Izuku's, like, very intelligent for his age. Dude's only 4 now. Dude only just became 4 because of the fact, you know, Quirk Doctor visit. He's only 4, and yet he already pretty much knows the definition of insanity. And a lot of other shit. He knows what all that shit is. And so, yeah. And the fact that Izuku is able to respond accordingly to all these different things and the emotions they would usually make someone who's a little bit more adult feel, yeah, of course he's going to be considered a genius. Why wouldn't he? And in considering the fact that he is, you know, considered a genius, well, All For One would actually give him a little bit of leeway with certain decisions. Allow him to call some of the shots. You know, and he would be like, let me come with Shigaraki. I have a feeling that he hasn't been keeping up with the end of the deal about new recruits. Anytime new recruits do come about, he just ends up killing them anyways. So, I guess I could just, be kept there to be his equilibrium. And whenever Shigaraki's like, all I have to do is just touch you with these hands. Just one hand, actually. Done for. And Izuku would be like, oh, and about that, how's about always keeping a 7-foot distance if you want to keep your head? And that's whenever Shigaraki would be like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. And then all of a sudden, Sephiroth's sword right at Shigaraki's throat. And Shigaraki would be like, oh, now I know what you're talking about. That thing. And I think the name of the sword is the Murasama or something like that. I'm just gonna call it the Murasama because, well, that's what I remember it being called, I think. I don't freaking know. So, for now, I'm just gonna call it the Murasama. Feel free to tell me if I'm wrong in the comments section. It's actually good, believe me, it's actually good to know whenever you're wrong so that you don't make the same mistakes twice. So, yeah. Izuku would just keep the Murasama with him, like, the entire way. He would have just used some of his mana to summon up the Murasama. And Izuku would be like, damn, brat, if only he didn't have mana and the power of the life stream, I could just kill him. Then again, he is very useful. I halfway want to kill him, halfway want to still have him on our good side. I feel so conflicted whenever I think about him. And Kurogiri would just be like, maybe I sense a little bit of something in the future. Like foreshadowing. And Izuku's just like, listen, Shigaraki, I know you want to kill All Might, but I don't think the Nomus alone are going to be able to do it. We need new recruits, and that's a fact. And, Shigaraki's like, man, he is awfully humble for someone like him, like with his type of power, kind of power that he has. And so they would indeed recruit a lot of people a lot earlier on than they did in canon. And, well, let's just say this does indeed create a little bit of a madhouse. And, well, events would go, rather boringly. That is until it's announced it's almost time. The USJ attack will be happening soon. Izuku can hardly contain himself. He's been waiting for this moment. Waiting to be able to show Kachan just how powerful he is. Just how strong he's become. all of a sudden you would hear, "Those are real villains! Get out of the way!" As someone in a scarf would run down all the way into the middle of the area, as several villains would pour out of the side, all trying to attack him, but all failing. Izuku would observe this, as it had been several years, and it was finally a time for their fateful day of reckoning, the day in which they would destroy the symbol of peace, All Might, at the USJ. And they would even bring on, the strongest kind of Nomu that they had at the time, the high-end Nomu. Per Izuku's request, to not bring a small fry, actually bring a type of Nomu that could do damage. And I, for one, would agree, being like, "Oh yes, very, very intelligent of you, Izuku." And Izuku would just be like, "Please, call me my villain codename, Lord All for One. Sephiroth." Flashback end. Basically, things wouldn't be looking too good on the side of the heroes, as they would be facing opposition from all odds. However, the more and more of them that worked together, the more and more of the villains they were able to knock back, and even just straight up defeat. That's whenever the Nomu came into the equation, and shit got really shady. They would take Bakugo and Todoroki teaming up, and even Kirishima being thrown into the mix. And let's not forget Kaminari and Tokiyami, all of them actually working as one unit, with Momo working as support, making them anything that they would need. It would take them working as a full unit to not only fight this thing, but figure out its true weakness, and then exploit that weakness. It wouldn't take them long to figure out that the head was the weakness, and that this thing had super regeneration and shock absorption, along with super strength and super speed. So, getting a good clean shot in at the head was gonna be tricky, especially as a full unit. However, it would be hell on a lot of people, but eventually it would be made to happen. Eventually, the villains would see something gliding through the sky. It would seem like an electrically charged Bakugo, literally with Kaminari riding on his back as he descended down upon the high-end Nomu's cranium with a full-power double gauntlet explosion. Just as Kaminari would make use of the parachute that Momo had made for him and get the hell out of Dodge. This full-power blast attack to the Nomu's cranium would basically render it obsolete. And basically, Shigaraki would be yelling cheaters, 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 all throughout this night and day. That is until he would remember there still is one last portal yet to be activated. Someone who wanted to stay behind till the last minute. The heroes aren't the only ones who make the dramatic entrances, is what the person would have told Shigaraki straight before just allowing him to go through. Shigaraki would then state to Bakugo and company, the heroes aren't the only ones who make the dramatic entrances. He would laugh. Come, my one-winged angel, Sephiroth. Damn ads. Come, my one-winged angel, Sephiroth. As Sephiroth would descend down, Sephiroth being Izuku's villain code name. I will bring despair to this world, is what Izuku would basically say. Dude will basically come straight up to Bakugo's face, straight up to the dude's face, and be like, I will bring despair to this world. Bow before Sephiroth. And then Bakugo will just proceed to charge straight at him, in which he would just get a Beerus flick. Like, you aren't even important enough to be my freaking challenge. Like, just flick. And then, Todoroki would decide to shoot off a whole shit ton of ice. And that's whenever Izuku would disappear, reappear, then flick Todoroki from back behind, and he would flick him so hard that he would actually land in a wall. And that's whenever, the students would actually be thinking, shit, this looks bad. And Kaminari would just be like, he would have gone completely stupid with that last charge for Bakugo. So, yeah, basically, Izuku would appear straight up in front of Kaminari, grab him and lift him up by the neck, bring up his Murasama, and shing. Hold him like, just hold him up high by the Murasama. And Shigaraki would be like, yes, 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 this is perfect. Everything might not be going according to plan, but still, finally, UA's reputation will be ruined once they figure out a student is dead. And will 13 struggling, with her last breaths, Izuku would hear the sound of breathing, and then his head would be moved towards the sound, and you would see 13 as he would teleport there, and take Murasama, and 13 would be no more. Not only a student, but a hero are now dead. And that would just, Ida would just have to, boost to win it to the heroes. But, Izuku doubted that there would really be much fun left to have with these week of students. And basically, Izuku would lift up everything, just do a motion, and shatter the sky open as a giant rock would fall. And he would say, meteor. and the giant illusion of a meteor would fall straight down and pretty much obliterate the entire USJ. However, right before meteor hit, Izuku would have basically touched both Shigaraki and Kurogiri, both hands like this, tink, and teleported. That's not, Kurogiri isn't the only warp gate they have. Izuku can just teleport shit and teleport himself. And it doesn't really take up all that much mana for him, so he's fine with it. However, what wouldn't be such a good thing would be the fact that with the whole meteor, a lot of students would have had to have taken shelter in order to avoid that thing. Luckily, no one else besides 13 and Kaminari. Was it Kaminari? Yeah, Kaminari, because he went stupid. Basically, 13 and Kaminari were the only ones who really died. However, Aizawa, well, the immense flashes from all the power he was sensing, because he was able to sense the bloodlust and killing intent, the flashes would give him visions of what would have been happening, him killing off student after student. He would just be giving him visions, false visions, but visions nonetheless. That he would basically be, without even having to move his hands, just by looking at Aizawa, he would be planting visions into his head of a worse outcome than what actually happened. And meteor would still hit, but this time it wouldn't be just an image. It would actually be a real meteor. That would actually be the scale of what actually happened in Final Fantasy VII. So, Earth-destroying meteor. So, and in Aizawa's little vision, no one would have been able to survive that shit. No one would have been able to make it, duck and cover in time. So, in Aizawa's mind, more than Kaminari and freaking 13 would have died. Everyone would have been smoked. And, well, in the vision, basically, Izuku would have left, Aizawa with survivor's guilt. Basically, turning Aizawa insane. Ripping his sanity to shreds with his own survivor's guilt. Which isn't even a thing, because the thing that he was seeing were all visions. So this would just completely destroy Aizawa's world. So whenever he eventually came back to consciousness, he would think that that this whole entire actual reality was just some sort of twisted figment of the Sephiroth guy's twisted imagination. And so Aizawa would have to be put on suspension to take medication for the psychosis that he's experiencing right now. Yeah, so basically, Izuku just decided to have a mental field day with Aizawa right before meteor hit. And, well, after all of that, let's just say, well, All Might wasn't a part of any of that, because, well, Izuku would indeed admit he got a little bit too trigger finger happy, and actually used a very strong mana spell. And all for one was like, please don't tell me it's... And Izuku would be like, it was Meteor. And all for one would just be like, oh, for the love of God, Midoriya. Like, at this point, like, all for one's used to it. He's just sad that he's used to it. Like, he's just sad that this is something that he's used to. Like, Izuku just destroying way too much, way too fast with Meteor just because he got, an itchy trigger finger. I mean, it's literally the fact that his personality is infused with Sephiroth's personality into one big personality. That's like both of them at the same time, like, but not at the same time. Like, that's like at the same timeception. So yeah, like, you can also see some psychosis going on, like mental psychosis going on in Izuku's mind, whatever mind he has left, in there. And the same thing with Sephiroth, both of them kind of just experiencing this, like, well, they don't even know, like, personalityception. Like, they honestly have no idea, like, anything. So they're just, like, this one entity. It's kind of like Stark and Lilinet, but in reverse. So, like, there's two beings, and now there's one. But with Stark and Lilinet, there was one being, and now there's two. So, yeah, it's basically the reverse of Stark and Lilinet from Bleach. So, yeah, it's basically Stark and Lilinet, but in reverse. Basically what Izuku and Sephiroth are going through right now. He's becoming the new one-winged angel, is what Sephiroth is sure about. That's the one thing he's sure about, is that he won't be the, like, lone one-winged angel anymore. He'll eventually have to give his title up to Izuku. However, he won't become a memory. He'll still be there. I'll still be there. He will just be completely fused together. Right now, they're just partially fused together. It's, something big's gotta happen in order to, fully develop the true power of Sephiroth into this boy, who is literally around the same age as Bakugo right now. Bakugo at this time being 15, so Izuku would be 15. And so, Izuku would be like, whatever punishment you have for me, Lord All For One, I gladly accept it. And it would be like, a nice choice of words, kid. Like, gladly accept it. Like, I guess he'd become a masochist at this point? Like, sadomasochism, masochism? Like, I don't know. Like, you choose. You pick, you choose. All he knows is now that his hormones are kicking in because of his teenage years. He's midway into the teenage years because he's 15 right now, going on 16 actually. It's close to his 16th birthday. You basically, 15 going on 16 pretty soon. Like, the hormones are starting to kick in, like, pretty bad. Like, Sephiroth's like, I know when you got a crush because I'm pretty much know everything that's... And Izuku's like, in my head, I know everything that's in... And Sephiroth's like, my head. they're basically fused with each other like halfway, so they pretty much know everything that's in each other's heads. They're pretty much fused halfway already, so eventually, whenever they get to 100% fusion, like, the new one-winged angel will be upon us. And then some shit will go down. As if shit hasn't gone down already. I mean, Aizawa's pretty much declared, it's a good, possibility that he might be mentally insane after this. That's what happened with Aizawa. 13 is dead. Kaminari is dead. And the USJ is completely destroyed. Like, the entire building. So, yeah. Kind of like what happened in my freaking Lucy What If, where the the USJ was completely destroyed in that, but in that it was because of a level 4 vector punch, not a freaking meteorite coming through like freaking dimensions all the way through several planets straight down to blow the damn thing up. Where I'm sure those instructions from like the whole duck and cover thing from the movie The Iron Giant helped really well duck and cover my ass. So, yeah. Oh boy. With the whole hormones kicking in, you know, Sephiroth would also be the one to know, like, who, like, his special one would be. The one who his eye would be after. And Sephiroth would just think, not only that it was hilarious, that it was this person, but then again, he would also remember it's the only girl in their damn team so far. Yes, that's right. Sephiroth is literally, you're with the freaking blood-sucking genocidal maniac, serial killer, freaking yandere, like tsundere, whatever the frick they're called. You're with that person, and Izuku's like, do you think I'm gay? Because if I'm gay, that means you're gay. You do know that. Just letting you know I'm not. And so, yeah, I am. What about it? She's the only girl here. And, Sephiroth would just be like, fine, you do have a point. She isn't really that bad looking. She's okay. I guess a high 6. You got me at a high 6, okay? I'm not giving her a 7, I'm giving her a high 6. And, Izuku just like, man, my boy Sephiroth just gave her, just highballed my freaking girl a 6. Highballed her at a 6. That's it. That's like, if you lowball someone at a number, that's really bad, but it's only, bad if you, highball someone at a number, and it's not a very big number. But if you lowball someone at a low number, not only is it a low number, but you're lowballing him at the freaking low number. So, Jesus Christ, that's like savagery in the maximum. So, yeah, we ain't talking about Macho Man Randy Savage level of savagery. And we talking about savagery like being a straight up dick. However, Sephiroth highballed her out of 6. Man, my voice cracks are making me sound like Shaggy. Jesus Christ. Basically, Izuku's thinking, highballed her out of 6. I'm thinking highballing her out of 7.5. And Sephiroth is like, wow, eyeballing at a 7.5. Wow. I thought I knew you. Like, just wow. You're so ready to accept right away. And Izuku's just like, shut up, she's the only girl here. It's kind of like freaking Tatooine and killing the animals. There's 3 suns, it's the entire planet is a desert, and there are like no women besides your mother. What are you going to do for freaking entertainment? Other than kill some animals. I mean, come on. Literally. It's like the only thing you can do for entertainment. And Sephiroth is like, okay, fair point. Fair point taken. She is the only woman here. I guess I'll settle for a 7, not a 7.5. That's where I draw the line. And Izuku's like, fine, whatever, float your boat. You know, it's it's gonna be that way. And, you know, the person that they're talking about, obviously, you know, they're just, you know, just looking, like, out in space. Like, you know, Izuku and Sephiroth is really can't really look at anything right now. He's just a spirit. So, Izuku's just looking off in space, talking to Sephiroth. It's pretty much a disembodied voice. And, you know, the person who they're talking about is hearing this. And they're like, 7 isn't really that bad. At least it's better than a 6. If I can change their opinion to maybe something even, you know, bigger of a number. If I make a good first impression. Okay, that's it. They're mine. And then all of a sudden, we would just say, hiya! I don't know if you know, but my name is... And Izuku would just be like, stop. Himiko Toga. And Toga would just be like, I noticed you were talking about me. I don't know to who, but you were indeed talking about me. And I understood what you were talking to me about. Like, rating me. Don't you know it's kind of rude to talk about people that are listening? And Izuku's like, well, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were freaking listening. And Sephiroth would just say, liar. And Toga would be like, something tells me from the look on your face just now, you were just called a liar by somebody, weren't you? And Izuku's like, yes, my disembodied voice of a friend just called me a liar. Or, well, more or less, other half. My disembodied voice of another half just called me a liar. And Toga would be like, oh, you're gonna be one of those really fun guys to date. I can see us going far. And Izuku would just be like, okay, wow. This happened fast. Quick, fast, in a hurry. Just, wow. And, well, it would just be, the whole thing would just be like, at the end of the day, it would just be like, let it be, let it be. Basically, I'm going to end off part 1 with only half fusion for now, and just now starting to hook up with Himiko Toga, seeing as she is the only girl who's freaking there. like, the only, like, you know, not fodder. I guess there are some girl villains, but they're all fodder. I'm talking like the only girl villain that matters. That's there. So, yeah. Basically, he just got hooked up with Toga. And, well, the whole thing about that's going to be very interesting. Very interesting. Oh boy. And considering the fact that it's the first part and already 2 people have died, actually, technically, 4 people have died. Inko, Hisashi, no, 5 people. Dr. Ujiko, Inko, Hisashi, Kaminari, and 13. 5 people have died. And it's only the first freaking part. That's a new freaking record, I think. If I think so myself, I have to go back and watch a lot of my first parts to, like, certain what ifs and see how many people die in the first part. But I think I've just hit a new record of, like, first part deaths. Like, first part death totals for my what ifs. I think 5 is a new record. So, yeah. Basically, considering, you know, just after the USJ, I think you guys should know where we are now. Around the time of, well, probably after the UA Sports Festival, because that just goes right on by, right after the dorm systems are implemented. And that happens right after the USJ's, like, attack is over with. So, pretty much we'd be skipping along by all the way over to the Stain arc by now. We'd actually be flexing by pretty fast. So we'd already be at the crux, like the very, you know, the very start of like the Stain arc and what that goes into. So yeah. Hot damn. Anyways, Alonzi, Dallas, because the Dark Shot member gets OUT out of here. Ya boys. Like, favorite, subscribe, and something in the comment section. Because I'm a bounce. Shit, what did I click? Damn it. I'm a bounce. Again.